It seems that everywhere you turn these days, everyone wants to talk about partial reps, and for good reason, because they've been made incredibly popular. But you have to understand how to do them right if you want them to work for you. And the truth of it is, they're actually not that new. You see, guys like C.T. Fletcher and other successful bodybuilders have been using partials as a large part of their training for years. And also here on this channel, we covered the value of partials by using bottom-up squats for quarter reps, or even 1.5 reps. But in all these instances, it wasn't just throwing them in wherever you wanted to. There's a specific place and purpose for each application of it. But maybe you're not even sure what a partial actually is. And that's okay, because I can show you exactly what it looks like using a lat pull-down. Remember, there's different types of partials. If you were to perform your partial repetition up here at the top on a lat pull down, you're doing so in the elongated or stretched position. So they call this a lengthened partial. I could do a mid-range partial where I just simply move the bar back and forth in the middle part of the range of motion, or I could do a contracted partial where I take the bar all the way down to my chest and continue to repeat a series of strong contractions in the back muscles. However, lengthened partials are the ones that have the most exciting research supporting them recently. But it comes as no surprise because it's the same mechanism that we know already can create muscle hypertrophy and growth because of that stretch-induced eccentric tension that we get in that lengthened part of the range of motion. So if we stay there and we actually continue to perform more and more repetitions here, you're not only getting that already stretch-induced eccentric stress, but you're getting the additional time under tension in that state that clearly could help us to deliver more muscle gains. So you're maybe excited about trying them, but how do you implement them? Well, you got 3 options. If you took a set and you considered your first rep here and your last rep there, regardless of what that rep count was, some will say you do partial every single rep of the set until you're done. The second option is to do something they call integrated partials, where you do a full range of motion repetition, then a partial, then a full, then a partial. This is actually just better known as 1.5 reps. Like I said, nothing really new, but it is an option. The third thing is to actually do full range of motion repetitions all the way through until you reach failure, and then you use this as an intensifying technique to keep repping out partial from a half rep to a quarter rep to an eighth rep until you can't do them anymore. This is actually the one that I favor. So how you perform these end range partials, or as I like to call them, effective partials, is going to look very different depending upon what exercise you do, or in this case, what kind of classification of exercise you do, because a pulling exercise like this lat pull down is going to give you a unique advantage over something like a pushing exercise or even a leg exercise. Because with this pull exercise, and pretty much all of them for that matter, you always have the ability to generate some body English because the weight is ending up away from us rather than on top of us in pushing exercises. So if I wanted to use a little bit of extra weight here, I could, because I could use just a little bit of extra body movement here to get another rep out, or half a rep, quarter rep, an eighth of a rep. If I did the same thing on a bicep curl, you can see I always have that opportunity. The weight is falling away from me safely. So even if I couldn't perform the repetition or I failed, I could simply drop the weights down to the floor. Or even on a barbell row, simply by changing my body position and standing more upright, I can cheat yet another repetition and easily perform these half reps, quarter reps, and eighth reps. But on the other hand, with pushing exercises, like I said, you get a whole different ball game here, because you don't have the opportunity to generate that body momentum that can allow you to sort of escape your way through another partial. Because at the bottom of this exercise, for instance, when you fail, the weight is landing on top of you. You don't have a chance to sort of allow the weight to get away from you, and being able to generate maybe 1 or 2 partials at all is going to be your best bet to get anything done. But we don't want to really have to sacrifice the heavier weights that we're using. So you have 2 options. The first is you can go immediately from a set of failure here to a lighter weight, generally half of what you were just using, and perform a second set as a drop set, with the partials coming in as soon as you start to fail on that lighter weight. And because you haven't rested at all, that failure will come quite quick, but the amount of partials you can achieve is going to be higher, because it's always easier when you're manipulating lighter weights. The second option is to continue to use those heavier weights on the first set, but just stop about 3 or 4 repetitions shy and immediately start going into those 3/4 rep partials. And from here, again, you'll notice that you'll be able to get more partials out and prolong the time that you can stay in that bottom stretch position for more of those quarter reps that can become more growth inducing. So now what about legs? Oh yeah, you could do partials here too, very uncomfortably, but if there was one spot where I think you could actually utilize those partials on every rep, it would be right here with legs. And that's because you could take an exercise like the Bulgarian split squat and stay down here in that stretch position of the quads. Now, before anyone thinks, oh, shorter range of motion means easier exercise, not when you're actually hanging out for longer in the hardest part of the exercise like you do here. You perform every single repetition there. Of course, you can still do this as the 1.5 reps, which would also give you the gains too. And I showed you how the quarter squat done from the bottom is a viable option because of this stretch-mediated hypertrophy that we get from this bottom partial rep. Or on the barbell RDL where the 1.5 rep works really, really well. Or once again, these every rep partials do have their place. But as I said, if there's one application I prefer, is this one right here. And that is because we're performing those full range of motion repetitions before we get to those partial repetitions and using them as a set intensifier. Because I value those full range of motion repetitions beyond just hypertrophy. Again, if you're training for strength, if you're training for athleticism, if you're training for longevity, you'll realize that there are other benefits that we don't want to compromise in the pursuit of something that we just want to try because it seems to be hot at the moment. But remember, whenever you try something new, remember this. It's not necessarily muscle confusion that you're after, but muscle disruption. And that means doing something that's going to challenge you at the same time that is different, not just something that's different. And if you do this, guys, I promise you, it will be challenging and different and likely lead to the results you're looking for. If you're looking for a full program, guys, we actually have a brand new program, part of the program called Built, over at ATHLEAN-X.com that you can get on Black Friday. And also, if you haven't done so, guys, make sure you click subscribe and turn your notifications so you never miss a video from me when I put one out. All right, guys, give it a try. I think you're going to like it. See ya.